If you haven't played Far Cry 6 and you intend on playing Far Cry 6 for the story, do not watch this video. This whole video spoils massive, very detrimental points of the game, including middle point things, ending things, like literally every spoiler in the game is in this video. I just wanted to give you a fair warning. This has been your warning. There you go. So I guess to start off, I'd just like to say that I liked this game a fair bit, and more importantly, I loved this franchise. If I didn't, I wouldn't have put close to 120 hours into Far Cry 6 or 500 across its predecessors. I'm not here to just shit all over this game or Ubisoft. With that being said, I'm going to try and be as unbiased and fair as possible in regards to this review. Remember, these are mostly my opinions, and nothing I say should diminish the enjoyment you get out of this game. Let's take a moment to talk about expectations in video games. I feel like there's a lot of hate in the gaming sphere these days. It seems like everyone has to have the hottest and most extreme take. I don't know about you guys, but I play games because I like to have fun and get immersed in another world. I don't play games because I'm searching for a life-changing experience. With that being said, Far Cry has never been particularly innovative for its time. I mean, maybe with the way fire spread in Far Cry 2, and maybe with mashing competent shooting and open world design with stuff to do in 3. Besides that though, it's always been straightforward on what you can expect. Open world murder simulator. That's literally it. That's why you play Far Cry. That is the point of a Far Cry game. Usually you are just murdering people because who the fuck cares why? You murder. That's what you do. You are a murderer. Let's not pretend. I mean, yeah, sure. You always want to stop the villain, but you love, and so does the protagonist, you love every single takedown, every single throat punch, every single headshot. Now, I've seen videos comparing this game to literal cancer. I'm not kidding. Look, people talk about it being a direct reskin, but fail to bring up even the littlest things that were changed in almost any of the reviews I saw. They're all just kind of blindly hating the game. One reviewer even boiled the story down to killing Anton because he was curing cancer. I mean, I just don't get it. How incompetent do you have to be to review a game you paid that little attention to? And after seeing that there weren't really any in-depth reviews of the game, I figured that with the amount of time I'd put into it, I'd take a crack at doing one. Far Cry 6 is a fun game, but a terrible sequel. After 5, I really thought they were going to be moving in the right direction, but unfortunately, the changes made during the jump from 5 to 6 just don't feel natural. Don't get me wrong, it's still a good game and a terrific shooter. There's a reason the combat has remained the same since 2012, save for polishing and minor tweaks. It's fun and easy to feel like a badass. You got a large arsenal of tools and a huge playground. If you played Wildlands, then you'll feel pretty at home with this setting, as it's pretty reminiscent of Ubisoft's take on Bolivia. Anyways, without further ado, let's get started. So to start this thing off, let's go ahead and unpack the setting. This time around, we find ourselves in Yara, a fictional island nation that is based on Cuba. The game draws from a number of real-life events for inspiration. This includes things like the famous Cuban blockade, Soviet Cold War tension, and most importantly, famous revolutions. Everything about the map and Yara is just truly beautiful. The architecture is amazing, the jungles are dense and really colorful, and the color palettes that they use just really work well in this game. To be honest, it's all really fun to look at. Beyond just the visuals though, I'd say the world it's a pretty normal Ubisoft game. It's comparable to a fucking Titan in size. This game really has no right to be this big. It feels like the world is just big for the sake of being big. There's not a lot to do in the jungle, or anywhere for that matter. Because unfortunately, most of the time, exploration's not that fun. You get bored really easy. There are these beautiful urban cityscapes that just look amazing, but they're never utilized for anything almost. There's a few missions that'll take you to them, but outside of that, there's no reason to return to any of these portions of the map. Nothing is ever going on there, which is truly disappointing because some of the locations in the game had a lot of potential. But just because of how good this game can look most of the time, I want to reiterate how visually appealing some of the vistas, jungles, mountains, and just general scenes you see in this game look. I also would like to share a quote from the game's art director. For Yara, we definitely were inspired by a lot of the Caribbean islands, Cuba being one of them. We wanted to create that feeling of tropical paradise. We loved the idea of an island that's frozen in time, where you get to see the history, the classic cars, the Caribbean colors. We get to play with beautiful sunrises and sunsets. It really was a perfect opportunity to create our version of the Caribbean island. As much as I'd love to keep sucking off this game's visuals, let's move on to the story. To be honest, the story has some really strong portions, but I'd be lying if I said it was good as a whole. You are Danny Rojas, an orphan that was kicked out of the military and is fleeing Yara with your best friend to a better life. After a tragic turn of events and witnessing a shocking act of cruelty from El Presidente, you get wrapped up in Libertad's revolution. Your shenanigans take you all across the island and have you doing typical Ubisoft stuff in a typical Far Cry fashion. You take out his underbosses, some of which die within literal seconds. With Jose Castillo, you can kill him within 30 seconds of him coming on screen. Like, seriously. After you take out an underboss, you usually get blessed by a rare scene of some really fantastic acting from Anton. Really, the best parts of the story are the tension build-ups between Anton and his son Diego. Really fast, let's take a moment to go over some of the best characters, and let's go over some of the worst characters. So, for best, we have probably, to be honest, Juan. Juan is essentially a retired spy master that mentors the leaders of the resistance. Honestly, he has absolutely no character development. But he's a bastard with a heart of gold who wants to murder child dictators, topple governments, and relive his past glories over and over again. He's exactly what you expect from a supporting character in a Far Cry game. He and Danny even come to the understanding that they are both essentially addicted to being badass murdering psychopaths. I like Juan a lot, and he reminds me of Willis from the previous games. Funnily enough, they even have prior dealings. For worst, close second is Bicho. Holy shit, Bicho is so goddamn annoying. And it's obviously intentional, but they failed to give him any redeeming qualities. He's a radio DJ or something like that, and he's Talia and Paolo's right-hand man. I guess the drinking mission is supposed to make you like him, but that did not click for me. I really did not care about him wanting to kill himself in the whole Bimbe scene. The worst, though, has gotta be Talia. Talia is the rapper for Maximus Montanza, the group that started the protest at the beginning of the game. Talia is also abusive, annoying, and obnoxious as shit, and I don't think the latter ones were intentionally written that way. She acts extremely irrationally, and there's no good reason behind it, and also there's no real character development to be seen, but unlike Juan, she doesn't have any redeeming qualities. If I had to choose somebody for the second best character, it'd probably be El Tigre. To be honest, of all the side characters you help, he's probably the most likable, tied with Philly. He also has a good story arc, and I wouldn't really call it an arc, but a good story background. You slowly learn how he had to murder his best friend, which I either have already talked about or will talk about again at some point. He's also a bastard with a heart of gold, although he's far more morally just, I'd say. I know that's the cliche protagonist in literally every single video game ever, but I honestly think that those characters are important for a game like Far Cry. Their supporting characters and protagonists are supposed to be kind of cliche, or at least according to the series' past characters and entries. The important context is, back in 67, a communist revolution occurred and the legends of 67 took Yara for Santos. Santos executed Gabriel Castillo and sentenced Anton to 15 years of hard labor pruning tobacco. So Santos was supposed to be the new president, and I guess everybody was under the impression that it was going to be free elections, but fast forward 45 years and apparently Santos was still the president and had ran Yara into the ground. He eventually kicked the bucket, leading to Anton's election around 2008. Anton invested in his friend Edgar Reyes, who had discovered Viviro, a potential cure to cancer. Viviro is only found in Yaran tobacco, which gives the country the chance to modernize and become a real first world country. The issues lie in Anton being something of a tyrant. Anton allows Dr. Reyes to conduct unethical human experiments, and he lets him use the outcasts, which is essentially anybody who doesn't align with him politically speaking, for those human experiments, which which are all pretty terrible. There's also McKay, a Canadian businessman that exports the Viviro and produces PGX 240, a poisonous fertilizer used to grow Viviro and kill the outcast. He essentially exploits the people for money. Meanwhile, Admiral Benitez is executing students in class. Maria, head of the Ministry of Media, is using electric shock therapy on anyone who isn't with the culture. And Jose Castillo is stealing farms and killing farmers, which naturally pisses the farmers off. The goal of our protagonist is essentially to get the 4 factions on board with Libertad. These include Maximus Montanzas, a musical group that is hip with the kids and started the riots, the Legends, which were the OG guerrillas back in '67, La Moral, another rebel group that is also hip with the kids, I guess, and finally the Monteros, who is a family of respected farmers and whatnot that's land was stolen by Jose Castillo. The Legends of '67 were my favorite, and La Moral were probably my second favorite, but they might even be considered one since they intersect. I heavily disliked Maximus Montanzas, and they were easily my least favorite due to how cringe the characters are and how bad the writing was. I mean, just watch this scene.
Fuck, Natalia!
Oh, I thought you wanted to hide like a pussy-ass bitch.
You want to die before we get to America?
Oh, big man, Palo. So a real man takes care of his chica by hiding her in a stank-ass swamp.
Fucking puta.
Coño.
Oh, that's just foreplay.
Okay. You guys ever heard of Libertad? Clara Garcia sent me.
We were Libertad before Libertad. Who do you think dragged Clara to her first protest when she wanted to live in a fucking library?
I don't care.
Clara knows her boring-ass speeches won't convince Yarns to join Libertad. She needs her voice.
Don't worry, Talia's full of shit and so are you.
Welcome to Camp Maximus.
Maximus Montanza's plot revolves around helping pay off Paulo's debt to a human trafficker, building the band back up, and killing the Ministry of Propaganda, which is also apparently Diego's mother. You do a few things to dismantle her propaganda campaign and help the band do some performances. There was a lot of potential with the whole Bimbe thing, but nope, you literally just help a human trafficker, and then you stop Bicho from killing him for some reason. You have a few run-ins with Dr. Reyes. He's a super sick puppy who does some really dark human experiments, and he's the main scientist behind Viviro, as I've previously discussed. You get kidnapped by him, and he inserts a poison injector in you and sews you up. Talia gets shot in the neck, but lives, and they kind of forget about it. You have to get back to the hospital as soon as possible, and you're having all these hallucinations. I gotta say, it feels like Ubisoft finally took the hint that people don't like their drug sequences as much as they think, because this one, for a Far Cry drug sequence, was fairly straightforward, and I appreciated that. Talia also executes Diego's mother, Maria, which is some cold shit. It's actually a really cool cutscene. I like Paulo's character, and it seemed like him and Danny related through the military thing. He also seemed like a logical and well-written character. Bicho and Talia, though, holy shit. I could not stand them. They are the most annoying characters in the whole game, maybe even in the whole Far Cry franchise. My other issues with this plot are, you're kind of just forced to help the human smuggler, and you don't get a satisfying resolve. Like, come on, let me kill this asshole. Also, I don't like how they did Paulo. It seemed like every chance the game got, someone was questioning his masculinity. I understand wanting to be inclusive, and I'm all for it, and I also understand it happens in the real world, but it seemed like they were exaggerating it. It seemed like every chance they got, somebody had to make a joke about it. I just think it would have been better for the audience and more logical from a writer's point of view if they didn't ridicule him every chance they got. Like, I guess Juan being an asshole to him could be believable, but it's super weird when Talia mocks him about it. And when Maria brings it up before her death, it's just really weird and out of place. While some of the missions were fun, it wasn't enough to save the dogshit writing. This is probably the worst subplot line in a Far Cry game I've ever experienced. Through the course of the Montero section, you'll burn tobacco farms, bomb PG-240X reserves, help Camila stalk her traitor brother, help break out Miguel, Carlos's long-lost cellmate that was left behind when Camila busted him out, and help Philly make napalm. Most of the busy work in this section's pretty lame, but I will admit the good parts that have Philly are really good. So, when you break Miguel out, afterwards, there's a mission where you need to go save a bunch of the farmers that are apparently going to get executed by Jose. Well, Carlos dies, sacrificing himself for Alejo, his son, Camila's brother, and it turns out the whole thing was set up by Miguel. So, this whole thing is just a clusterfuck. And it's not like there's a story that I'm not getting. Like, I read the notes. Miguel was mad at Carlos. I get it. But apparently he sold Carlos and everybody else out to the military. But it just doesn't make sense. Why would he do it to the military? Why wouldn't he just kill Carlos himself? Why would he work or make a deal with the people who literally tortured him? And also, why would he go back to camp after he betrayed them? Did he not know what was going to happen? It was very clear it was him that set it up. The whole thing was just dumb and not very well thought out. And while the Montero plotline fell short for me, it was slightly redeemed by some of the badass scenes that you got. For example, whenever Camila puts the grenade in Jose's mouth and pulls the pin, that shit was metal as fuck. At some point you'll be contacted to help Juan with a mission, and it leads to you getting captured by Anton's head general. While torturing you in front of Diego, Diego pleads with his father to stop. Anton tells the general to kill you, but Diego shoots and kills the general first. It's a pretty kick-ass scene. The last region has you gaining the trust and support of the Legends of 67, and bringing La Morale into the fold. As I've already said, I think this portion of the story has the strongest writing in the game. For starters, the game actually gave me an adequate amount of time to get attached to the characters before it killed them off or ended the plot. Secondly, I'm pretty sure this is the only chance you get in the game to have an actual narrative choice. Also, you get some good background history in this portion. You slowly find out El Tigre had to kill his best friend Lobo because he became power hungry and wanted Yara for himself. This is tense because you're constantly told you remind him of Lobo. Also, you find out that Yelena was dating Harran's brother, and that apparently Harran and her brother had gotten captured during a mission that had gone bad. Apparently Yelena had the chance to free either Jonron or her brother, but she chose to free Jonron. Because of the bribe the guard took, Admiral Benitez ordered that all of the prisoners be executed after this, and I guess Yelena never told Jonron. There was also a mission where one of our own people was being interrogated by somebody called the Dentist, and I had to stop them. I accidentally shot the prisoner my first go around, and my character called Yelena to tell her that the job was done, and I thought it was pretty cool that was considered a mission success. I reloaded my save and started by killing the dentist and saving the prisoner, and it was the same result. It was cool to see. Admiral Benitez was a super lame villain, but McKay was funny, so I guess that kind of makes up for it. I also felt like this region of the game had the biggest difference in gameplay. I mean, you actually found yourself going on ship, helping with ambushes that had dynamic ways to mess up the roads by shooting the rocks off the mountain. I would have been totally okay if this section was the whole game and they just spent all of their time and resources into fleshing out the characters here, into the gameplay moments here, and adding to what we had here. You get so many different characters thrown at you throughout the game, it bogs you down and causes a disconnect. And while they're all mostly likable characters, their screen time is spread way too fucking thin. It's just hard to care about characters when they all get crammed down your throat for 3 to 5 missions just to disappear until the end of the game. My first playthrough, I did the missions in El Tigre's region first, and then I did all the outpost checkpoints and etc. before moving on. By the time I got to the last part of the game and everybody linked up at the final assault on the tower, I had forgotten who Yelena was. I had no clue who this chick was, and I was so confused. And sure, you could chalk that up to being my fault for taking so long to get to the last portion of the game, but still, should your characters be so unforgettable that I'd forget them before the game's even done? After all the underbosses are dead, Clara meets Anton for a parley. He essentially gives Danny an ultimatum and tells them that they have to either become general in his army or he's going to execute Clara. None of this fucking matters though, because Juan gets the big brain idea to try and shoot Diego. You push Diego out of the way, which leads to Anton executing Clara. After you escape, Libertad becomes yours. You give a terrible speech, rally everybody together, and storm the capital. Upon getting to the top of Anton's tower, he essentially asks if you'll protect Diego when he's gone. You say yes, he calls you a liar, executes his son, and then kills himself. All of your companions talk over who should be the leader of Yara, before pretty much telling you that Yara's yours. You promptly tell them to go fuck off and that you have more people to kill. I really think the game would have been better if the number of factions were reduced and more focus was spent on a smaller cast of characters. And I also think Clara's death should have been the halfway point of the game, with you getting more benefits from being the leader of Libertad. Imagine getting control of mortar strikes, or calling guerrillas to come create a diversion, or simply just reinforcements to back you up. Most of my disappointment comes from the lack of opportunities and risks this game takes. Throughout the story, you do emphasize with Anton, but it's always 100% justified why the player is against him. They leave no room for moral ambiguity. They manage to make everything feel so black and white, despite having the power to actually make you feel or think something. Remember when Far Cry 3 made you slowly realize you would become a psychopathic murderer through the course of the game? What if in Far Cry 6, Ubisoft gave you the choice of joining Anton because maybe the rebels are a little extreme at times, and as mentioned and proven, killing the Castillos won't fix Yara. What if we had the chance to join Anton, and after he dies from leukemia, you become Diego's advisor? And after Danny cleaned up Yara, Diego reinstated free elections. Or you kill Anton and Diego becomes guilt and anger ridden. Diego would become the leader of the remnants of the FND, and you get to see him crush Libertad and everything you did, showing that all you had done was for nothing, and by killing Anton in front of Diego, all you had really done was ensure the continuation of the Castillo regime. I think the lack of choices and decisions in the story really hurt the reception of it. It honestly felt like a major downgrade from previous entries. Even just having a possible way to save Diego would have saved the story for me. And don't even get me started on the Voss audio at the end. All that is them cashing in on nostalgia points, and the spin-off game we get before 7 is guaranteed to be a story that involves Voss again. Anyways, all in all, I enjoyed parts of the story, but found myself constantly being disappointed over and over again. It's way too bloated with characters, and sometimes the writing is downright unbearable. It explores a bunch of interesting themes throughout the story, though. I mean, you're the good guy, but the line does blur slightly, and that's something I always love in a video game narrative. Castillo is doing something good, but using terrible practices to execute his plan. Anton's a wonderful villain, and had he gotten more screen time, he might have even surpassed Voss as my personal favorite. The way Juan and Clara's ideas and values clash is also interesting. Juan does whatever it takes and is even willing to kill Castillo's kid. Clara, on the other hand, is a politician who seems more likely to take a diplomatic approach. In closing, the story is a mixed bag and probably has some of the worst characters in the franchise. There's some fantastic moments in the game, but the bad portions of it are just really hard to overlook. With a few setting tweaks, I think the gameplay has the potential to be the best in the series, or at least my favorite. While the game itself has a lot of tacked on features that frankly don't belong, I think they came close to nailing the combat. It's fun if you're looking for a Far Cry experience, it just doesn't do anything to add to the previous formula. and what it does add makes the game a walk in the park. My main issue is that there needs to be more restriction. Once you get a suppressor, the game's difficulty drops off dramatically. They try to overcome this by making your silencer overheat, but I only need 3 shots at most to take down typical clusters of enemies that you find throughout the game. Pair all of this with tagging enemies, seeing through walls, detection meters, the mini-map, and you're practically untouchable for most of the game. This robs the player of any real challenge, and there's almost no tension in the game. I might just be nostalgic, but I really miss how gritty, difficult, and grounded Far Cry 2 was. I really hate how within the first 2 hours of leaving the tutorial, I had the stuff needed to get a silencer for my pistol, SMG, and sniper rifle. This isn't just about the silencers though. Pair all silenced guns with an arsenal of 4 weapons that I can also change out at any time, including mid-combat, along with your Supremo backpack, which can also be changed out, and it does a bunch of ridiculous shit, from taking less damage while you melee people in one hit, to shooting missiles out of your back at helicopters, and yes, those missiles lock on. And yeah, this is all really fun at first, but after a while the magic wears off and you really get bored. There's no longer the satisfaction of crafting the perfect loadout to execute the perfect plan. And just to be clear, I'm fine with the overpowered stuff being there, I just wish you had to do something other than collect random resources you find on the map to unlock them. I wish that you actually had to work for them instead of just collecting bullshit that doesn't matter. Another issue I have is there are almost no on-the-rail set pieces in this game, and normally I'm not the biggest fan of them, but I feel like they're pretty missed in this game, because I know the previous installments had them. It really just feels like the developers were scared to take any of your freedoms from you. Immediately after you're done with the intro, you can literally get a tank and save it to be recalled at any point after. Like, isn't that crazy? Instead of drip feeding you new stuff to keep you entertained and awestruck, they just throw it all at you in the first 3 hours and say, hey, figure it out, stupid. But with all that being said, after some HUD tweaks and enabling Guerrilla Mode, the game felt a lot more satisfying. I had to think about what I was gonna do if I wanted to succeed. I had to actually use my brain and scout out where the soldiers were and what their patrols were. And with disabling the minimap and detection meters, gone were the days of just quickly stealth running Outpost, which was a nice change of pace. Let's go ahead and move on to some of the finer details of the gameplay mechanics. I couldn't help but feel like there were really just 4 outposts in the game, and they were all just copy and pasted with slightly different layouts added. Something I liked was how they added objectives, like turning on the gas valves, finding a hostage, or even hacking the computers. It would have been nice if this was turned up a notch though, to make the outpost feel like actual unique scenarios, because unfortunately they were all extremely forgettable. This isn't helped by the fact that user-made outposts were cut, and to be honest, the number of enemies in all the outposts were extremely lackluster. I really felt like they could have turned it up a notch. The checkpoints are a nice addition, but again, I wish there was more variety with layout and objectives. The treasure hunts, while tedious, can be pretty fun. I think these got the most attention when it came to variety, cause there's actually a lot of unique ones. And while maybe some improved upon parkour moves would make it a lot more enjoyable, I still had a good time with the majority of these. And while the ambushes are cool as well, I really wish they offered something other than just the supply crates, or maybe focused around something other than the supply crate. I feel like more than anything, they're what suffer from a lack of variety. These would have been perfect operations to have in the city areas, or, maybe you could do something cool, like attack HVTs that are guarded by huge armored convoys. On that note, another issue I have is with how poorly they utilize the wonderful urban areas they built. Almost none of them contain any outposts, treasure hunts, yarn stories, or any real reason to explore them. Imagine if you had to do like a territory war or something like from GTA San Andreas to retake the city areas and populate them with guerrillas. I like the time supply caches a lot and did all the ones on my map in one swoop. It's a great way to incentivize the player to traverse and explore the land on foot, or I guess with the wingsuit. I had a good chunk of the map discovered after doing these. Lastly, I'd just like to say that I miss the bounty quest from Far Cry 3. I'd even take them in the form of Preston Gravy Radiant quest that just gives you a random soldado to go kill. All in all, there's really quite a few different type of side gig type deals for you to do in this game. Again though, like a lot of things in this game, I feel like they could have greatly benefited from cutting back on the quantity and increasing the quality of these. Yarn stories are essentially the side quest of the game, and I figured I'd include my thoughts on some of them. These range from protecting Danny Trejo while he makes tacos for the people of Yara, to doing some maintenance and farm work for some of the local farmers, that way they don't turn their back on Libertad. Overall, I'd say these are all mostly fun. Far Cry doesn't take itself too seriously in these, and I'd say it's good about conveying it. In the Trejo's Tacos mission, the health inspector is yelling about stealing his delicious tacos. In the Rambo one, your character is yelling quotes from the movies. They're fun to do, but I do have a few issues. The first being not enough cutscenes. You just get this really weird blue backdrop, while the characters loop an animation. I just wish that these were either fully fleshed out cutscenes, an in-game conversation, or characters that were already introduced, that way you'd already be kind of attached to them. And while I do enjoy these, I feel like there is an issue in the sense of it kind of challenges the game's overall tone. I really am just kind of confused about what the devs want people to feel in this game. Is it supposed to be serious? Because one second it's dealing with fucked up themes of slavery, human trafficking, and whether or not killing a kid is justified. And the next you're fighting an evil health inspector whose motivations are literally, the tacos are so good he must steal them. Or doing some quest to unblock your chakras. Or doing literally anything with that guy Bicho. I fucking hate that guy, seriously. I just wish the game would have picked one tone and gone with it. Wanna be funny and lighthearted like Bad Company 2? Cool, do that. Wanna be dark and grim like Metro? Cool, do that. But don't do both half-assed. Hunting isn't very fun in my opinion in this game. I wasn't compelled in the slightest in regards to going out of my way to find any particular animal. I killed ones that I came across constantly, just to realize there is no reward since it's tied to the supply you collect, and I already had everything I needed from just looting outposts, trucks, checkpoints, and trails. Fishing is fun, and I do enjoy wasting my time trying to see what different types I can catch in the stream outside of the area I just captured. The only issue is, again, there is no real incentive to do it. Just like the meat, you can cook recipes with it if you've unlocked the right upgrade at the camp, but none of these are really necessary. The game's not hard enough to warrant any of these buffs. The only one that's actually really fun is the one that lets you carry like 7 gadgets each. The legendary creatures are cool, but again, what's the point? They look awesome, but what else do I get out of it? You can trade them for some basic gear, but the gear doesn't really do anything. I'd love to talk more about the hunting and fishing, but it's kinda lackluster, and that's really all there is to cover. While I like having numerous pets to choose from, I despise the fact that you can't get guns for hire anymore. They had such a good system in Far Cry 5, it seems like they took such a huge step backwards from being able to call in Nick Rye to come drop some bombs, or Grace to snipe a heavy machine gunner that has me pinned down. With that being said, let's talk about your options in 6. We have Boom Boom, who in my opinion is the best boy. He's obviously Boomer from the previous main installment, and ended up in Yara after Herc locked him in a container of weapons being shipped to Yara because he wanted him to have a better life. He can attack soldiers and grab their weapons. Then we have a Rooster from the cockfights, Chikaron. He's super aggressive and loves to kill soldados. Next up is Chorizo, a dachshund in a wheelchair that can distract enemies. He appeared to be everyone's favorite, but I wasn't much of a fan. Moving on, we have Guapo, Juan's trusty crocodile that also loves soldado blood. He's cool, but like a few of the others, he'll alert enemies, which just ends up with alarms getting set off and me getting pissed off. I think Chorizo is one of the other ones that won't alert enemies, so I guess that makes him also pretty good. Last we have my favorite, Aluso, a fucking ghost spirit panther. She's a spirit blessed by an ancient god that eats the souls of my enemies or some shit. They evaporate into a badass poof of smoke, so she's a pretty cool stealth amigo in my opinion. And I think all of these guys have their own special perk trees, but they're kinda basic and just improve upon their already owned abilities. I'd love to go on about these, but I think that's all I really have to say on the amigos in this game, so let's move on. I might be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure this installment has more guns than any of the others in the franchise. You can fully customize almost all of them with different modifiers, attachments, cosmetics, and ammo types. Like seriously though, there's a lot of fucking guns. 116. There's even a bunch of cool scrap ones thrown together, like record player guns that shoot the disc as it plays music, a missile launcher that shoots exploding fireworks, a rifle that shoots clusters of sticky bombs, and a minigun powered by a chainsaw motor. All in all though, I feel like they did a really good job on the guns in this. They all feel really responsive, and the bulkier ones feel heavy. It's really nice, and if you have haptic feedback or a DualSense controller, it feels fucking awesome to just light people up. The guns all do have a ranking system, but I hardly noticed this on Gorilla difficulty. Like, I was still using the 2-star weapons even at the end of the game. I mean, obviously not exclusively, but was still going back to them at least. Almost all the ammo types to me felt really pointless. Like, I see the point of them and they do work, but most of the time I forgot which one I had equipped and I just lit people up, and I mean, it worked. It wasn't difficult, or at least not difficult enough for me to like have to actively think about switching over. There's also a shit ton of gadgets for you to choose from this game. I think there's at least 12, maybe even 20, but don't quote me on that. Although I almost exclusively used grenades, health stems, C4s, and mines. Maybe the auto turret and claymores, but not a lot. There's a lot of hilariously broken weapons you can use in this game, like any of the bows with EMP arrows. Helicopters just don't know how to combat that. You can literally take them out. It's not even hard to aim. I suck at aiming, I suck at shooters, but I mean, I almost never miss the helicopters. It's also really fucking funny if you just lob the EMP arrows at people. It doesn't kill them, but it sends them flying, and sending guys flying off their horses. Holy shit, that's funny. The blast rounds and the shotguns are also a great choice. Really super broken. Moving on, let's talk about the clothing mechanic. I fucking hate the clothing mechanic. Why did they scrap the perk tree for this bullshit? I seriously just do not understand why they did this. It's not a good choice. It would have been fine if they kept gameplay modifiers like movement speed or damage resistances tied to the clothes, but should have still had the grenades and pistol takedowns and the abilities like skydiving and using the repair tool be tied behind perks that you get through a perk tree, or hell, even through fucking upgrading the camp. At least then it would have felt like a bigger reason to fucking look for scrap. With all that said though, I really do like having the choice between all these clothes. The Supremos are all pretty cool, but to be honest, it's kind of a waste of time. The only one worth getting is the rocket launcher, maybe the gladiator, and I guess even the double jump one. All the other ones are null and void. There's so many different better alternatives. Let's go over scrap, crafting, and Los Benditos. These are all things that are an accumulation of filler of the last decade's top Ubisoft games. Some of these are cool, but others feel tacked on, or replace something that was already good. I just want to say I think it was the execution of some of these ideas, and not just that the ideas themselves were bad. They pretty much made hunting pointless, and mostly replaced animal skins with uranium and various components that must be collected around the world, which is nowhere near as exciting or engaging, not to mention you no longer need to work towards holsters. You get all weapon slots unlocked from the start, which I wasn't a fan of. This is a mix from mechanics taken from Ghost Recon Wildlands and New Dawn, and frankly, they worked a lot better in those games. The Banditos operations is cool, and I enjoy it, when I don't forget about it, that is. In my first save of 40 hours, I only did it twice. I also think it would have been cool if it increased the numbers of guerrillas around you, or maybe brought in some cool options for backup, maybe even mortar strikes or a personal guerrilla squad to back you up. It felt very detached from the main part of the game. Resource gathering for the base upgrades and weapon upgrades were an addition I like, but I still can't help but feel like the game would have been better off if it relied on the crafting from 3 or 4, or the perks from 5. The settlements are good, I guess, but I feel like the things that you can build suffer because the other mechanics lack the incentive to make you want to do them. How would I build a hunting shack if I'm not going to hunt because there's no point in hunting? The weapon shop is one of the good buildings, along with the fast travel point store, and the clothing store is also good if you're looking for some special gear that you can't find in the wild. They truly nailed movement in this game. It feels like they upped the base movement speed to keep up with the likes of other modern shooters, but that could just be tied to certain clothing pieces. The slide and wingsuit make getting around on foot the most fun form of traversal, and it really doesn't feel slow either. Sneaking around feels slick and smooth, and you feel good about executing the takedown and ditching the body before a patrol comes back around. The driving is just kinda okay to be honest, but when paired with the auto drive, when it works, and all the generic shenanigans that go down on the roads, it becomes pretty fun. You'll stop a prisoner transport just for a jeep to roll by and engage you. By the time you're done killing the people in the truck, 2 more roll up, and maybe a horse or a tank show up to say hi as well. You can use your phone to scan the various vehicles to acquire them and their components and their paint jobs. Then, once you're back at a vehicle pickup location, you can customize them to your heart's content. There's also quite a few picks for air and sea vehicles as well, although these can't really be customized. I think my favorite vehicle in the game is probably the Dune Buggy Plane conversion, which, to be honest, is super fun to fly. It's really hard to drive, but still really fun to fly. I really only have 2 key complaints for this portion of the review. The first being, why don't we have a modern iteration of a fucking grappling hook? We have been using the same grappling hook since 2014, you know, the one that just grabs on to the manually placed grappling hook points in the game. Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Dying Light, Just Cause, Doom, Sekiro, Apex, Overwatch. These are all games with grappling hooks that are better than Far Cry's. The other complaint, which might be a hot take, is I kinda miss having radio towers and shit to climb, you know? I mean, I'm cool with the map not being tied to climbing them, but I kinda wish that I still had these tall things to climb all over the map. I know there's a few of them that are still present, but I really liked happening to, you know, parkour up them in 4, and I'd like to see that come back to the series. Anyways, back to the vehicle side of things. There's also 4 unique vehicles that you can get and have called in to your specific location so long as you're on a road. They have a bunch of extended customization options, like attaching weapons to them and different bumper guards. They're all pretty cool and have their own specializations, but I won't be digging any further into them. And lastly, I just want to praise this game a little for how much vehicle customization there actually is. Look at all these different vehicles and customization types you can choose between. Just to preface this part, almost this whole section is subjective and this is all just my preference. There is way too much screen bloat in this game for my liking. There's so much on your screen distracting you from the actual game. It's such a shame when devs do that when they have such an appealing landscape to show off. I feel like this game would have benefited greatly from having a discovery mode like from Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Imagine you're just given a general area, and you actually have to go there and scout out what's around. Actually figure out where your real objective is. Thankfully, the game does have some other settings that can help the overall experience though if you're looking for something more grounded. Speaking of settings, let's go ahead and cover some of the different difficulty options and settings that you can use in this game. You have Guerrilla Mode, Action Mode, and Story Mode. The hardest difficulty, Guerrilla Mode, is still honestly kind of a joke. The game was even easier at launch because it didn't ship with Guerrilla Mode. Action Mode should have been what Story Mode is. There is absolutely no challenge, and it's way too easy. For obvious reasons, I won't be covering Story Mode. There's a lot of good HUD options here though for you to make the game really immersive. You can turn off almost every facet of the HUD, and that's really what I did. I turned absolutely everything off for the first 3/4 of my playthrough. Eventually, without the quest markers, I did end up getting lost a lot, and it was just, to be honest, it was taking way too long to make this. I decided to turn a few of the elements on just for the sake of being able to quickly complete the game again so I could get this review out. The biggest things to make sure you have turned off though are going to be the detection meters and the ability to mark enemies. And alarms and such. If you do those, the game becomes amazing, and significantly better when you actually have to track enemies and actually pay attention to what you're doing. And turning pickup icons off can also help to immerse you in the environments more, because since you're looking around for scrap and the stuff you have to pick up, you're actually taking everything in the environment in, because you're actually slowing down to look at it, I really hate the UI, but that's mainly just because I feel like it's copy and pasted in every fucking Ubisoft game. I feel like they literally just use the same one over and over and over again. And while I guess we can give them credit for it being easy enough to navigate, I still feel like there's way too much bloat in the UI as well. Before we wrap this up, I just have a few things to touch on. Firstly, there's these black market operations, which are a continuation of the expeditions from New Dawn. You get to go to a special location for a mission to earn rewards. The premise of these is you are securing a package that heats up in sunlight and will blow up if you let it overheat. You have to run from water source to water source and stay in the shade to keep its cool level down. I suppose it was a nice addition, but I didn't like these as I found they got stale after the first two, and to be honest, I would have much rathered the expeditions that let you go to the really cool, intense locations. Next, this game has time trials, which I might be wrong here, but I think were introduced in 5, but they could have been in the series since maybe 3 or 4. Either way though, these are a nice addition, or continuation more so, but I have literally nothing else to say about them because they're time trials, and I just feel like it's pretty self-explanatory and they don't deserve any more time. Lastly, I'd just like to give some credit to the La Morale Legends of 67 storyline. I forgot to mention it earlier, but there's this moment where Yelena has to make a split-second decision to either sacrifice you or send 20 to 30 gorillas to save you and have all of them possibly die. She obviously just says, "Sorry, Danny," and last second you get saved by Lucky Mama, who blows open the wall. This portion of the story was cool, and it made Yelena seem very human, and I don't know, it's just something that kind of stuck with me throughout the game, and I thought it was something worth praising. Well, I guess it's time to wrap this bad boy up. In closing, the gameplay is really fun. Combat is absolutely fantastic. The tacked-on RPG mechanics are extremely lame, and the world is too big. Most importantly though, the story has way too many characters. Sure, the game's pretty, but man, that writing was horrendous. And as much as I hate to admit it, it's exactly what we've come to expect from Ubisoft. Did I still have fun with it? Abso-fucking-lutely. Was it worth $60? Hard no. Should you buy it? I don't fucking know, man. What type of games do you like? Hey, thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more reviews and video essays on video games. If you didn't like it, why don't you just go ahead and leave a comment telling me how stupid I am and let me know why.